This is Armchair GMs brought to you by Jocks of All Trades podcast. I'm Bugman J,
I'm Matt.
and this is episode 20, preseason week 2, news and notes, and something special Matt's going to bring out that we may continue to do on a week to week basis to try to kind of keep you guys caught up on all the happenings and what we think personally, because a lot of what decisions uh, listeners and future listeners will probably gauge on is going to be a lot on what we say about certain players and what we believe to be, you know, their value. So we hope that we can bring quality, you know, instead of quantity, quality. I don't know. I'm not good at but anyway, uh, first things first, off topic. I heard that they are now about to they are in the works of rebuffering and bringing back out NCAA football.
Ooh, I can't wait.
And
I
it's
cannot
getting,
wait.
it's getting a little drawback because people are saying that they don't want it to be like Madden, which is, you know, you want the same
Rightfully so.
quality. And but Madden says it's going to have it's going to be made by the same engine that makes Madden, so it's going to be similar. But back in 2017 when they did it, they used the same engine. Then in the 2017 game, it was pretty much the best one. So I'm
hmm
looking forward to it. I want to see what it's like now. You know what I mean? But
I was going to say 2014 was the last one, and I wish I could find it somewhere. I don't want to pay an arm and a leg just to have a copy of that, but yeah, I can't wait. To piggyback off of that, though, I know that 2K has also been kind of thinking about bringing back their NFL series as well.
what?
So yeah, I I can't remember the last time I read something about that, but I mean, I still kind of hold NFL 2K5 like up here in terms
Yeah.
of how awesome it was. So
Yes.
you
Oh man,
know,
Donovan
I
McNabb was
mean,
on that game. Like
oh yeah,
God status. Mike Vick and him were like God status. Could do no wrong.
exactly. So I hope that we do get another NCAA football video game
Yes.
soon. I hope we get another NFL 2K series like going up here in the next couple of years. Like
If we can
it's
get
going
the
to be awesome.
NFL to like not give out sole rights to every freaking thing, like they
Oh
only
yeah,
allow EA to make it right now, so they gotta split that licensing up again. If they can do that, it would be awesome. It just making more money. Like honestly, why wouldn't you want more exposure for something that you want to make you money? I don't know.
not to
It's,
mention you do that, maybe EA steps it up a little bit. It's like, okay, we got
yeah,
to
because
fix
they've
all
been
these
making some
glitches.
subpar games because they don't have any competition. I believe you on
Exactly.
that one. Subpar. But not to get too far into things, we got a lot of news and notes to go through tonight. As far as I said earlier, something special that Matt's going to bring out tonight. I'm going to let him introduce that. But first, Matt, I need you to do these ads. All right.
So, Fresh Cuts is a local barbershop in Marion, Indiana. Contact Caleb Kemper for an appointment time through www.freshcutsbarbershop.com. It's not just a haircut, it's an experience. Then we have Steve Wood Illustrations here for all your art needs from Star Wars to G.I. Joe and beyond. See him for all your nerds in your life who aren't sure what to get. Then our friends from Afro Latinos are changing things up. Check out the Culture Corner podcast featuring Aubin and Shaylin and hear from them soon as they are still under construction. And then Rules of the Frame is another friend cast specializing in movie reviews, pretty much everything and anything there is. Connor will soon be a guest on our other show, Smash Popcorn, and we look forward to collabing with them. And last but not least, Thousand Wives of Weird is just that. It's weird. From reviews of weird movies to criticizing bad ones, Brad H. and Billy Martell will keep you entertained and laughing for hours on end. Check them out exclusively on Spotify.
Oh yeah.
Woohoo!
And we are done. Good job, Matt. You if I had to grade your ad reading skills, I'd give you a 7.5 that time,
Hey, I'll take it. That's passing.
Oh, yeah. There you go. See, look, that
All
is
right.
the reason why. That is the reason why. All right. First and foremost, I'm gonna leave the floor to you, Matt. I'm gonna give you the first question today. Um,
Okay.
what over? We were out last week. We apologize. We had complications on getting an episode out last week. Hopefully this week we can go through a couple of things. Some things you guys already probably know, and we're just going to kind of update a little bit and try to give you guys the best quality of news and notes that we can right now in this segment. So the most important thing that you saw over the last 2 weeks, as far as either training camp, preseason games, ADP bumps of any player or person, thoughts on maybe drafting a sleeper, or what do you got?
So, I mean, it's no surprise, or it should come as no surprise that that Deshaun Watson aftermath, the impact it's had on the Browns, so on and so forth.
Yes.
I've been keeping an eye on it as far as fantasy wise. I mean, obviously, Deshaun's going to take a huge hit on his production. His ADP has fallen drastically, but on the bright side of that, it is good for Nick Chubb. According to Fantasy Pros, he is number 8 overall RB or running back number 8, and he has gone up 8 spots in the past week. So
I like.
that's interesting.
Yes.
So me personally, if I'm in the right position, I would consider taking Nick Chubb.
On NFC, he is currently 25th overall. Uh, that's. I think he is more of a key in non PPR leagues than he is in PPR or half PPR leagues, because of the limitations as far as being a non pass catching back. So his upside's always going to be a little challenged in a PPR setting, in half PPR setting, but non PPR, I'd probably put him up somewhere close to running back 6, maybe running back 7, because there are still some true studs out there that actually perform higher than their ADP. Because as we may know, there have been running backs that come out of the woodworks around week 6, week 7 that can drastically change your whole outlook on your RB. So, but there are some true studs, barring injuries at the top. So, RB6, RB7, Nick Chubb.
And then one other thing that is kind of, I don't know if you want to call it eye-opening or be aware of it, so on and so forth, but laced with Tom Brady, reportedly approved by the Bucs. He did take a 10-day leave from the organization. According to insiders around there, he has been miserable. So, I don't know. I mean, do you think he really wants out of Tampa Bay? Maybe should he have stayed retired? How's this going to affect his gameplay this year? I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, if you look around Twitter, you can kind of see the vibe around Tom Brady right now. He's not happy, probably, with the way things transpire with the offensive line, losing 3 of your key pieces from last year. Most importantly, their center. They are still indefinite on the position of his knee issue. It's significant, so he's going to miss time. But there are guys like J.C. Treader that are out there in free agency that they could pick up, that could take over that load. So there's nothing I don't think they're too bound up with salary cap. I think they could go out there and get a player to fill in. I really think it's more of a personal issue outside of football that may be changing things, i.e., back to Twitter. So it could be multiple things. Should he probably stay retired at his age? Yes. But playing at a high level as he did last year, who would not want to go out there and see if they can continue to do the same things if their heart's still in the game, you know? So it may be something to it. I think it's more of off the field that may be dictating why he's taking that extra hiatus, but time will tell. We'll see. We'll definitely see.
I mean,
the tampering with Miami also makes me think possibly it could be that he might have wanted out. He might have wanted to go to Miami.
I didn't even think about that part. I mean, yeah, you may be right though.
Because all of those weapons over there at his disposal. Chris Godwin is making to pivot over. Chris Godwin is making significant progress and could possibly be a week 1 starter. Russell Gage is back practicing again, so he could be a potential starter. Julio Jones has been coming out and doing decent in practice, making quote unquote spectacular plays. Nice catches. However long he can stay healthy. Mike Evans is hurt. He is out. So it may be a little bit of not having everybody, together. It may open up for other players as far as ADP risers for me. I'm going to keep an eye on Julio Jones. He's still closer to a late round flyer, second to last pick, or maybe even last pick to stash for some upside. But there's a lot to be optimized. There's a lot of optimism there, but there's also, with that offensive line being so shaky, it may be a lot of problems for non-mobile Tom Brady. Where do you think, with all this going on, where do you feel he is as far as his ceiling as a QB for this season?
I think it's still high.
Would you, would you take him over Russell Wilson?
Honestly, yeah, I think I still would. Because, I mean, Tom Brady's still going to go out. He's still going to, he's still going to have something to prove, even at 45 years young at this point. Kind of, silence the naysayers saying, oh, you can't be 45 years old and starting the NFL as a quarterback. No, I think he's still going to go out on a week-to-week basis and, just, show up, show out, and still dominate. And, I know that defense is going to have to step up a lot, but with Todd Bowles as the head coach now, he's a defensive-minded coach. I think, that'll just, I think that defense is going to be much better because of Todd Bowles. Not that Bruce Arians wasn't a defensive-minded coach, but, Bruce Arians was always known as, the offensive-minded or, the quarterback whisperer or whatever, whatever name you wanted to give him. But, with a different type of coach, different type of coaching style, it could change things drastically in a good way for the opposite side of the ball. So I think Tom Brady will still have a really good year. I'd be surprised if he didn't. Now, is it one of those, is Tampa Tom finally turning into grumpy old Tom? I mean, time will tell. I mean, I'm sure we'll see that like week 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there, depending on how the first few weeks go of the season. So I don't know. Something to look forward to.
I'm going to give you 2 more, and then we're going to move on to the next news and notes. Tom Brady, would you take Tom Brady over Matthew Stafford? Back to full practice, Matthew Stafford?
I don't know. I think I would still take Tom Brady because we don't know the extent of that elbow injury that Matthew Stafford is, has going on right now. At least I haven't seen anything new about it.
Okay, one more. Tom Brady over Trey Lance?
No, honestly, no. Trey Lance is kind of like coming out of nowhere, and I'm excited to just watch that kid now. I know I was a non-believer at first, but I don't know, man. It's just watching him play this past week. I know it's only the first week of the preseason. I know not everyone's up to game time speed per se, but I don't know. Trey Lance, he might be a quarterback I watch out for.
Yeah,
If
he's definitely in my top 12.
yeah, I know we talked about it before, and we were. I was more of a naysayer. I don't know if you were or not. I can't remember, but I don't know. He's impressed me. He's
Yeah.
impressed me so far.
All right. Okay. I want to talk about something I saw in the news. I'm going to try to kind of keep this a little bit brief. Okay, we're going to get into Aaron Rodgers. And the preseason game, we're going to get into the preseason game first, and then we're going to talk a little bit about uh, the training camp buzz, so to speak. So, first and foremost, looking at the preseason game, there are a lot of pluses. There were also a lot of bad plays, a lot of boneheaded plays. Jordan Love did throw 3 interceptions, so there was a lot to be desired. Also, I don't. You can't. Some of two. I believe 2 of those interceptions, he really probably put the ball maybe a little bit too high, or maybe a little bit too far ahead of the receiver. The receiver had to do a little bit too much, but there were a lot of drops.
Mm-hmm.
Romeo Dobbs did make an excellent touchdown play. No, he is not the fastest receiver, but he showed the ability to get separation, and that was a big bright spot. You got to see also get to see a little bit of Jordan Love's arm,
Mm-hmm.
so you really got to see a little bit, but also a lot of interceptions. So let me get your
Yeah.
thoughts first on the preseason game.
Okay. Um, I don't know. Like, I don't think Jordan Love is the answer for them. Say Aaron Rodgers decided, you know what, I don't want to play this. Like this time next year, say he decides, you know what, I don't feel like playing anymore. I'm done. I don't think it's a good, thing. I don't think it's a good thing for the Bags organization. I don't see Jordan Love as the long term answer. Although, you know, I guess there were a lot of questions about Aaron Rodgers.
Definitely.
Like when he, became the starter in Green Bay, after Brett Favre retired and then unretired and went to the Jets. But I don't know. You're talking. I mean, Jordan Love's been at this for a while now. He's like sat, like literally stood with a clipboard the entire time, and it's. I don't know. I don't think it's a good thing for them. Now, receiver wise, for Romeo Dobbs, you know, you don't have to be the fastest receiver. As long as you can get separation and you have reliable hands, I think you can make an impact. I
Definitely.
mean, certainly Devontae Adams wasn't the fastest receiver on the field from time to time, but he was still able to make a
Move.
difference in
Yes.
gameplay. Just with creating space, getting separation, and he had surefire hands. So, I mean, I'm sure I may be looking too far into it. I can't speak for you. You may have a different opinion than I do. But in my opinion, I don't see Jordan Love as the long term solution. I don't think they're going to get that lucky, essentially. We'll call it back to back, quote unquote, because, I mean, there hasn't been a starter for Green Bay since Aaron Rodgers took over. So I don't see Jordan Love having the same success at all compared to what Aaron Rodgers has.
Okay. Well, particularly to the wide receivers, were there any wide receivers that stood out to you in the preseason game? Seeing that it was majority backups.
Uh, really just Dobbs, like because I'm trying to let me look up the stats from that game real quick. There, hold on a second. Preseason game. Yeah, I think the only one that really stood out to me was Romeo Dobbs because I know Christian Watson, he's still out. So, I mean, you're not going to see him for a while. I can't remember. Did Lazard play?
No.
No. Yeah, that's the only one I can really think of that really stood out to me, though, was Romeo Dobbs. How about you?
Yeah, for me, Romeo Dobbs. Christian Watson is activated from the pup list, so that is big news. I believe he may be back to practice. So is Robert Tunyon. So those are long-term considerations in my mind as players, preferably Tunyon, being that he was a touchdown getter. He's shown that he's proven to get red zone targets. He is a blanket receiver or blanket tight end, someone who not Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers looks to in goal to go situation. So he's also going to be a plus for me, especially with all the inexperienced wide receivers. Namely, how candidly Aaron Rodgers, after practice, he talked about all the young guys in their drops, particularly Romeo Dobbs. He dropped a lot of passes. And Aaron Rodgers came back and he was told, he was like, he dropped what I believe to be my best pass of the day, and when they look at the top three wide receivers, they look Alan Lazard. The top three pass catchers are going to be looking at Alan Lazard, um, Sammy Watkins. They're going to be looking to those guys because guess what? They're sure-handed and they're going to make the catches. And if they build a rapport, the young guys are going to play for scraps. And the only one I really see maybe is Romeo Dobbs, but he's getting the most slack because his inability to make catches. He can make
Yeah,
good
but
plays.
if you think about it for a minute, this time last year we were saying the same thing about Jamar Chase.
But
Saying
he's
that.
no Jamar Chase. He is
Oh
definitely
no! I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, bottom line is I don't feel like there's going to be another Jamar Chase. In terms of like success or whatever. But it could just be, the first preseason game. Granted, it's not one of those like prime time things, obviously, but you could just be having some nerves. They kind of get the best of you, and then all you can really do is just learn from it. So, I mean, again, Romeo Dobbs is not a Jamar Chase, not at all. But who knows? Maybe he learns from this and goes back, watches tape, so on and so forth, and then can just learn.
definitely. Did you freeze, Matt? I think Matt might have froze on me. We're going to try to get him back. Try to get back. All right, we're going to go through a little bit, couple more news and notes while we wait for him to get back. I really have a hard time believing in Green Bay's ability to get touches, but I really do feel that um, if Alan Lazard is healthy, he'll definitely be the number one. But I really do feel like there is an open range to get. Oh, there he is, my buddy Matt.
Sorry about that. Having some connection problems right now. Sorry about that, folks.
All right. I was just saying that there is a position for maybe someone to get upgraded to wide receiver 2, even though we think that may be Sammy Watkins' spot. There also is a position for the slot at wide receiver 3 up for grabs. But do you feel that in this offense, wide receiver 3 would get maybe flex consideration if he can build a rapport with Aaron Rodgers? And who do you think that wide receiver should possibly be?
In Green Bay's offense,
Yes.
I I don't think so. And the only reason why is because you have Aaron Jones. He's been known to line up, on the line for receivers, so on and so forth. If you're talking bringing back Robert Tunyon,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to be, reliable red zone target, supposedly. I mean, time will tell on that one.
Definitely.
Wide receiver two, I mean, depending on who it is, whether it be Sammy Watkins or whether it be Christian Watson, whichever one, you know, that would be who like wide receiver two in a Green Bay offense. That's who I would consider a flex, for my fantasy team. Wide
Mm-hmm.
receiver three, I don't feel like they're going to make enough impact on my team, especially with all well with all the weapons that or lack thereof, however you want to put it, that Aaron Rodgers will have. I mean, will there be a week or two where that third wide receiver kind of, plays lights out? Sure. But I wouldn't say it's on a consistent basis. Now, as far as what like your third wide receiver, I think it's still too early to tell. If I had to choose today, I would put Romeo Dobbs out there, that wide receiver three, because we haven't seen Christian Watson play.
No.
Um, so I think it's a little early to say who wide receiver three will be. But if I had to choose today, I'd say Romeo Dobbs.
Just to put it in perspective, Devontae Adams took up a 28.5% of the target shares for Green Bay last season, which made up a bulk of the team's 43.5 vacated target share. So there is a lot to be gained there. It's all I like how Aaron Rodgers put it out that what he wants from his players is to catch the ball and to build rapport, and he let them know that it's his decision as well as the coach's decision on who goes out there and who gets the targets. So they got to do the number one thing. They got to do the essential things: put the ball, learn to catch the ball, and become better players. And it's partly on him to get out there with them and keep working at it, but it's a lot on them in the mental game. So
Mm-hmm.
that will really affect where our ADP is going. I'm still considering Romeo Dobbs to be a last round flyer, somebody put in the stash that maybe become effective. Because we don't know what kind of Sammy Watkins we're going to get. I'm not even putting him on my board, dude. Not even putting him on my board. Like even maybe in a 14-team league, I may consider it, but I don't play in many of those. So that is where we're at with that. All right. Oh, we're going to switch over to New Orleans. So it was
I
in
was
the
hoping we
news.
get to that.
It was in the news that Alvin Kamara may not even face a suspension. It's more unlikely that he will be suspended this season than if he would be. Well, what is your take on that, and how far down or up does he go in your ADP as far as running backs?
Um, so I was reading a little bit about that earlier today. I guess the NFL has decided to not step in until the legal process has been
Yes.
has is decided, and there's questions even being asked. Will this possibly or will it likely be dragged out until 2023? So I think everyone's just kind of dragging their feet on it. But regardless of the news and everything, somehow he's went up two spots, and according to Fantasy Pros, he's went up two spots for his ADP. He was running back number 10 and 15 overall.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I don't know, man. I mean, there's still that chance he gets suspended. If I am if I'm looking at or if I'm looking at a potential player, in that second, let's see, that would be in a 12-team league. second round, third pick. I think personally I would go with another option because, especially if I'm in a good spot, then next thing you know, he's suspended 6 games. Well, now that hurts me, and I'm going to have to start um, looking at other players for my fantasy team. So I don't know. Is the risk worth the reward? I
I,
mean, time will
if
tell.
okay, in the scheme of things, if it is delayed and he is not suspended this year, there's a clear indication that the NFL is not going to step in. They're going to let the legal process play itself out because they allowed the legal
Uh-huh.
process to play itself out with uh, Watson. So,
Mm-hmm.
with this being said, if the case sounds like it's likely to be extended again, so if it's likely to be extended again until the following year, do you feel as if they're just going to let it continue to ride? Let's play in this fantasy world where they do. Um, would you rather have, let's say, let me look at I'm on NFC. This is as of this week where his
Mm-hmm.
ADP is. All right, they have him in this. They have him in the same range. They have him at 12, going at 22nd, 22.5 overall. So that's pushing into the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for late first round, early second round. And would you rather have? Let's see who's around him at 12. Would you rather have Aaron Jones or Alvin Kamara?
Aaron Jones.
Um,
Just because I know with Aaron Jones, I mean, he's got that rapport that you alluded to with Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, I would go with Aaron Jones over Kamara.
uh, Alvin Kamara or Saquon Barkley?
Kamara, not even a question. I mean, I think Barkley's a good talent, but he
Uh,
can't stay healthy.
Alvin Kamara or Nick Chubb?
Ooh. I got to go with Nick Chubb. Well, let me rephrase that. Standard Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
PPR, I would mull it over, but I would go with Kamara.
All right. All right. Moving on, still in the Saints, there is a news wire out there that Michael Thomas will be ready and set to go in week 1. How much stock do you take in that? And is he a candidate to be a ADP riser?
I think so. I'd be surprised if he didn't, because I mean, granted, yeah, you have Jameis Winston as your QB, but Michael Thomas is a proven wide receiver. Yeah, he's been out of the game for a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I think he's going to come back and he's just going to tear it up. Honestly, like I feel sorry for you, man, because he plays in the NFC South. You're going to see him
Yeah,
twice a year, so
that has to go a lot with what do you think about the quarterback situation. Uh, is there a belief that Jameis Winston could be the quarterback that could possibly get him over the hump? Because in the years past, Jameis has been the risk it, no risk it, no biscuit kind of quarterback. He throws a lot of interception, but he does put the ball down the field. So you don't have those limitations because of the head coaching change. Yes, the head coach is similar, but it's a whole new ball game, and I think maybe they could open it up for him. What do you think?
hold on, because I lost you the entire time. Again, apologize. My internet is kind of spotty tonight. So we're talking about Jameis Winston.
Uh-huh.
Repeat that question.
Okay. All right. In the shortened version, considering how Jameis Winston is no risk it, no biscuit type of quarterback, he's going to put the ball down the field. He's going to make
Mm-hmm.
those big plays. He's going to throw a lot of boneheaded plays. Sean Payton kind of restricted him a little bit, made him play in a little bit of a format It kind of benefited him a little bit, but it only really benefited one wide receiver. So do you think that Jameis is the type of quarterback that could possibly help make Michael Thomas be more of a sleeper than a bust? I think he went out again. Yep. Oh, there he is. Are you back? Are you back? Matt, I think he's going out again. Okay, we're going to keep it moving along. Sorry about the technical difficulties. If anybody out there wants to know.
Oh, my goodness.
You're going out so bad over there. He's out again. Michael Thomas's currently.
Hang on.
As of this week.
I'm gonna leave the studio just for a second and see if I can restart my modem.
Okay. Michael Thomas's is right now wide receiver 35, and he's going 73.76. So he's going around the end of the sixth round, early seventh round. I really feel like he may be a candidate to be a sleeper, but he also has a lot that could indicate he could be a bust this year. But if you're picking him around the seventh round, I feel like it may be a little bit too high. If you got him closer around the ninth, maybe 10th round, maybe he'd be more worth the risk because you don't really know what he's going to give you at the start of the game. So it is really going to be on you to decide. There he is. He's back again.
Thanks, Spectrum. I appreciate that.
Oh, man.
All right. Take three.
Let's go.
Third time's the charm.
How do you feel about Jameis Winston being Michael Thomas's quarterback? Do you think he'll be a sleeper or do you think he'll be a bust? Because he's going right now around round 6, round 7. And his wide receiver 35. Do you think that's low or high on him?
I think it's just right. And I only say that because, Michael Thomas is going to make Jameis Winston better, but not by.
It was my internet last week that went out, and now this week, Matt's is going out.
All right, move to a different part of the house, see if internet gets better there. Hold on. So, back to what I was saying, though. I think it's just right. Like, I think Michael Thomas will make Jameis Winston better, but not by much. Honestly, if I was working in the front office of, New Orleans, and I'm surprised I haven't done it yet, I would try to make a case or make an offer for, like, say, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
And I only say that because Jimmy Garoppolo, stat-wise, sure, it's not there. But I feel like Jimmy G has done a lot more with less.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say anything bad about talent of Deebo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say anything bad about, say, Elijah Mitchell or any other running back that they've had in the past or Brandon Ayuk. Not saying anything bad about that. But what I am saying is, Jimmy G, you look at his, winning percentage record, it's a lot better than what Jameis Winston has done. And Jameis Winston has played with, Alvin Kamara. We're talking about New Orleans at the moment. He's played with Alvin Kamara. He didn't really have a reliable receiver in New Orleans. I get that. This past year, because Michael Thomas was out. I can't think of any other wide receivers off the top of my head. But even then, when you talk about, his time in Tampa Bay, he had a young Mike Evans. He had a lot of weapons in Tampa Bay as well, and he just didn't do anything with them. I mean, think of the one year he went 30 for 30, 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. I mean, I feel like that should have been the year that you done a lot more. And instead, you perform like that, well, they move on, or Tampa Bay moves on from Jameis Winston. Now, granted, I think the year he sat behind Drew Brees, it helped him a lot. But I don't know if I would still trust him to be a long-term solution for my organization.
Okay. Pivoting a little bit, I'm looking at his ADP, and we're talking about Michael Thomas, and I see a couple people that are around him. I'm gonna X out the one player that is suspended. Would you rather have Michael Thomas or Adam Thielen?
At this point, Michael Thomas.
Okay. Michael Thomas or Rashad Bateman?
That's a tough one. I would go with Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas or Amari Cooper?
That's definitely a no-brainer at this point, considering we know the situation in Cleveland. I would.
That means you are very high on him because Amari Cooper is wide receiver 29.
I only say that with in terms of Amari Cooper, the guy can play.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about that. But I mean, Cleveland is in kind of a
limbo,
kind of up in the air at the moment. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Thank you. With their QB situation, I mean, Jacoby Brissett, he's just going to essentially hold down the fort for now.
Yeah,
until
he's Geno Smith in a bigger frame.
Yeah,
he's the exact same type of quarterback, just placeholders, just someone you just put in place.
Yeah,
you give the scheme,
a game
you
manager.
Let him conservatively run it. So is that a tilt towards Nick Chubb getting an ADP bump? Yes. Kareem Hunt, not so much.
Absolutely.
Not so much.
Mm-mm.
But I do feel like there's at least wide receiver one is probably going to be the one that gets majority of the work anyway. So Amari Cooper probably is worth his rankings around these 65.06. So 6th round pick. If you get him in the 7th round, you're okay with it. If you get him in the 8th or 9th round, you're very happy with it because of the potential. It's not as much a ceiling as far as the Deshaun Watson thing. The last news that we've gotten lately, there's been a lot of buzz around it. There was rumors that the NFL and NFLPA were going to try to come together and make a settlement. And as far as what we know now, the settlement is probably going to be more than 6 games, but less than a year. He doesn't want to lose the whole season. PA doesn't want him to lose the whole season. So I'm predicting that they're going to kind of meet in the middle. It's going to probably be an 8-game or 9-game suspension because the season is 17 games. He still will get to play 7 games, 8 games, almost half the season. Because suspensions do include. I don't know. I don't remember not whether they include bye weeks or not. But
I can't either. But I'd be a little surprised if they did include the bye week.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's one of those I don't know. I like Amari Cooper as a player, but I would not feel safe taking him this year. Honestly, not that he's not going to.
Even in a 14-team league, maybe
14-team,
12-team league. flex consideration, maybe possibly.
Uh,
Do you
maybe,
know the
yeah,
concept
maybe
of playing
flex.
zero RB?
Do what?
Do you know the concept of playing zero RB when you're drafting, fantasy drafting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in a zero RB approach, would he not be a consideration for your flex?
Yeah, he would. It would just, I
There
would
is a
have a hard
there's a
time.
floor there. It's not as if Jacoby Brissett will blow the doors out, with his passing
No.
or change the whole way he's been playing. But if anything, he's not going to go throw a lot of touchdowns. But he is gonna put the ball in play at least 29, 30 times a game. And I'm pretty sure if Amari Cooper's anything close to what he was last year, he'll get opportunity to be in position to make some catches and gain some yards. I want to look at this real quick before we move on. If this is on my mind, I want to look at his projections for this year and kind of get your idea on if you feel like that would be in the realm of what you feel like he could do. Give me 1 second. I'm looking. Because last year was a pretty down year for him, reception wise and catch wise.
Yeah. But I feel like that is a product of, Dallas having too many weapons last year with the emergence of CD Lamb and, Cedric Wilson. He was kind of in and out throughout the year, and then Dalton Schultz, Pollard, Zeke. So, I don't put that solely on Amari Cooper. Just a lot of weapons for Dak to distribute the ball to, and I think that's why you saw such a huge drop in Amari Cooper reception wise.
I'm going to look at his sports line projections. Oh, never mind. I cannot, for the life of me, do anything.
Well, hold on. There we go. I was starting to lose you again. I thought my internet connection was just going to drop out for a fourth, fifth, sixth time this episode. I apologize to everyone for that. Internet is not the most reliable and where I'm at, so have to make do.
I feel you, brother. But as we continue on, the last part of the news and notes that I kind of want to get to, I want to skip past the Amari Cooper stuff. I may come back to it, but probably not. The New York Jets, right? We heard about the Zach Wilson injury. The prognosis was kind of cloudy because they really didn't want to say anything until they looked at the scope. So he had the ACL. He had the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no further damage. The prognosis is 2 to 4 weeks for the recovery. So it's looking as if Joe Flacco will get the week 1 start. And I don't really know how I would really look at this as Joe Flacco being the starter. He's a non-starter in my book. But what do you feel is his outlook as far as the wide receivers that they have with the Jets? Do you feel like that is going to be a serious downgrade? Because there's a lot of hype that he's still making big plays down the field in training camp, and we're going to get a good look at him during our next preseason game.
Right.
So how do you feel about him?
I wouldn't necessarily call it a downgrade. At this point with Joe Flacco, I feel like his role is going to be kind of the same as, we just talked about Jacoby Brissett's, role, just kind of like put in there and just manage And I feel like that's
Yes.
what Joe Flacco is going to be doing, from now until Zach Wilson comes back, presumably in week 2. Time will tell on that. But I don't know, man. Like, my thought is, Zach Wilson, very lucky that injury was not worse than what it was. Like,
Yes.
after I watched, like, the highlights of that and seeing him go down the way they did, I thought, oh, crap, this is not good. I mean, because I know we like to, take shots at certain teams, and the Jets are definitely, well, Jets and Giants. So both New York teams are ones that I like to, jab at from time to time. But I'm kind of hopeful for the Jets this year. And, you know, I feel like Zach Wilson got very lucky that it was a slight meniscus tear and just a bone bruise.
Yes.
Now, so now I'm kind of like, is the time away going to be good for him as far as development wise? Time will tell. So
I really kind of feel that there's going to be kind of a shift a little bit to the offense. Not much is going to change. Um, I believe Joe Flacco is this turn rounds Ryan Fitzpatrick. Same kind of simple style, can keep you going for a couple weeks, but you can't really depend on him for the whole season. He's kind of like a flyer. If you're in a one QB league and you run into an injury in the quarterback and you have your other quarterbacks on the bye, that's a type of quarterback you might possibly throw in as a flyer, a streamer as they call it. But I really feel like Elijah Moore. And did they get Chris Olave or did they get Garrett Wilson? I always
they
get
got Garrett Wilson.
okay. Garrett Wilson. They're doing good things in training camp, and Elijah Moore is going to have to show a little bit more to solidify himself. So there's going to be opportunities there, and I think Joe Flacco is going to go to the security blankets first and foremost. So Mike Carter is going to get opportunities out of the backfield. I think they're going to kind of shift to Brees Hall, but he didn't really impress in training in the first game. So that also is going to be the narrative. If I want to look at their
It's
ADP.
it's Brees's time to shine.
You think so? Because
I,
how do you feel about his first preseason game? He's getting his feet wet. How do you feel?
I still think it's all these rookies, like, some of them are gonna perform better than others, obviously, but I don't know, man. I think I would, if I ever had the opportunity, like, I would have jitters like you wouldn't believe. So I think a lot of it, some of the guys that didn't perform as well as maybe they could have, I think, a lot of it is just, those preseason nerves. You're in a completely different situation than what you were in college and so on and so forth. I mean, nerves are going to get the best out of anyone. So, I mean, week 1 preseason, sure. Now, if it was week 2 or even the last week of the preseason, I'd be a little bit more concerned.
Now, as we look at their ADP differences between Brees Hall and Michael Carter, Brees is right now is the 18th running back overall going, the 18th running back going 39th overall average, 39.28, so 39th overall. And you can get, if you go all the way down here to running back 39, Brees Hall is going at an average pace as of NFC as this week, 113th overall. So there's a big difference in what people see in Brees Hall as in what they see in Michael Carter. So do you believe in the shift? Do you think there's going to be enough work for Brees Hall and Michael Carter? Or do you think one's going to become the every down back?
I think that if, let's just say Zach Wilson is out longer than the 2 to 4 weeks, let's say he doesn't come back until Worst case scenario, week 5. Let's just paint
Yeah,
that picture.
the talk in the town is that they're going to allow him. They don't want him playing again until he's 100%. So whenever he becomes 100%, that's when they're going to put him back out there. That's why I talked about multiple weeks of the. It may be 4 weeks possibly before we see him again. So in that month, I'm sorry. Continue.
No, you're fine. Let's just say he comes back week 5. Those first 4 weeks, especially week 1, I see it as a 50-50 split. Well, no. Let me rephrase that. I see it as like a 65-35 split. 65 Michael Carter, and then 35 Breece Hall. But as time progresses, maybe you do have a 50-50 split, depending on how Breece Hall performs, of course. If, like, after the first 2 weeks, Breece Hall just kind of, struggles or is inconsistent, so on and so forth, then I think Michael Carter is definitely your every down back. So,
Okay, speaking of which, if we look, I want to see if I can get their snap counts, because if I'm not mistaken, Breece Hall had a lot of first team reps. I don't want to misspeak here. But either way it goes, I see a lot of potential in Breece Hall. I really feel like the organization is really going to make him the leading back. So with that in mind, I really think that at 39th overall is a little bit too high. I don't have it. Based on what we saw from him, I do think it's going to Michael Carter's going to be breathing down his neck, but I really think it's probably going to be more of a 50-50, 55-45 split. Michael Carter possibly more on the third down, but Breece Hall more on the short yardage type plays, goal to go type situations. So it may be another Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt situation. That's what I feel in my mind. So if I could handcuff those two, that'd be my personal thing. If I could handcuff those two, being at where their ADP is, I feel like I can get the best of both worlds. That is taking up a spot. But if Michael Carter can be a little bit better than the guy he was last year in the role that he had last year that he had to step into, I really feel like there will be a value there, because if you look back at how he played when he was in North Carolina, his ability to be that change of pace back is really what brought them a lot of the wins that they had that year. Being able to change out the bruiser for the shifty guy. Can he be every down back? I'm not particularly certain that he can. He has a couple injury risks, but that is a prime example. He's not the best handcuff out there. I believe the best handcuff out there is Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison, because they're very similar in form.
I like it.
And we saw how Alexander Madison was a great fill-in at that position, and it gave a lot of flexibility to be able to put him in as RB2 and possibly RB1 because of the way he performed on the field. Do I think Michael Carter has that same potential? Yes, but it's less with the rushing. But it's less with just rushing, but more of the rushing and being able to catch out of the backfield. That's why I think he has the potential to be possibly maybe RB30, RB30, rule 30 to 35 range this year, and getting him essentially in the 11th to 12th round. It's not a hard steal just to throw in your back pocket. That's just my little food for thought. Especially if I'm doing the RB0 approach. For all people who don't know, RB0 is simply where you're kind of playing best ball, but you don't really draft any running backs until maybe the later rounds, because with the RB approach, you're going to get a lot of production out of your wide receivers. So if you can get the best wide receivers off the board, and then fill in with guys like Kareem Hunt, guys like Naeem Hines, to name a few, and then you can grab a handcuff like Alexander Madison. But he's only a good handcuff if Dalvin Cook goes down. So that's a little food for thought for the viewers out there. I'm gonna we're gonna kind of wrap it up. But I'm going to let you have the floor. You have something special for me right now, and
I was
just ready.
gonna say we're throwing out something new. We're gonna call it lightning round. I only say that because I couldn't come up with anything more original. So we are gonna go 2 minutes from the time I bring up a player. This week we're gonna cover first year quarterback starters, so your rookies, and we're gonna throw out Trey Lance as well. I'm gonna have my timer. We're gonna set it for 2 minutes.
All right.
So we which I'll start the timer as soon as I ask the question. So Trey Lance, his stats from this past week: 2 drives, they led to scores 4 or 5, passing for 92 yards, 1 touchdown. One of them was a 76-yard touchdown.
Yes.
So with that in mind, with Kyle Shanahan taking the keys from Jimmy G and giving them to Trey Lance, was that a good call or was it just a fluke?
It goes a lot to make this quick. It goes a lot on. I think it's coming out now as Jimmy G is probably going to get released. The mentality of a quarterback. If you don't own a 49ers playbook, you shouldn't be the quarterback. And I feel like it was kind of a push and pull with Trey Lance. They saw something. Kyle Shanahan personally picked him. The GM did not want it, so it's his pet project. So I really feel like Trey Lance has an opportunity to become something that transforms the game a little bit because his floor is already so high with his ability to run the ball. As we saw during the game, he made a lot of great down the field passes. His passes were a little bit more accurate. Will he be another Josh Allen? I don't think so. He's not going to transform his inaccuracy. But if we know anything from Kyle Shanahan is his offenses, he knows how to groom a quarterback to play a specific scheme, even if he has to box him in for this first year as a true starter, as in like they did with Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens. They had to conform a little bit so he can settle in and expand his game as he grows. As he grows, he may have potential to be a top 5 quarterback. This year, he's more closer to a top 10, but I really feel like he has a good upside and he has a very decent
floor. Okay. So, next one, Sam Howell from the Washington Commanders. 9 of 16, 145 yards, 19 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns. Start the timer again. How long before he starts over Carson Wentz?
Okay. All right. I'm going to make a big suggestion. I'm going to say week 4. And this is why I say week 4. I don't believe in Carson Wentz's ability to, 1, stay healthy, and 2, keep his mind on the game. He's shown it consistently over the years. His stats may make you think that he could be a quarterback that can run a system, but if time and what we've seen with our eyes have shown us anything, he does not have the ability to maintain an offense. He loses his composure in times when you need him the most. He falls short in every aspect that creates a championship team. So what we saw from Sam Howell in the first preseason game, what we saw from Sam Howell last year at UNC, he did take a dip in accuracy. He did stop throwing as many passes, but he built himself up as an undeniable runner. We talked about him before during the draft, and I really could not see how he was able to do what he did running the football, but he showed you he could do it in the NFL. It may have been against backups, but that's potential talking right there. And he has the potential because he has a big arm. A big arm and being able to move and see the field is going to get you more consideration. I foresee him playing a little bit earlier this preseason game and playing a little bit longer so they can get a better eye on what he can do throwing the football.
I was going to say we were running close to time on that one. All right, next one. We got 3 more quarterbacks, by the way.
Okay.
Next one, we're going to talk about your new quarterback. Well, your new backup for now.
Okay.
Desmond Ridder, 10 of 22, 103 yards, and 2 touchdowns. May not be a starter right now, May not be a starter this season. But how are you feeling for the future of your franchise, the Atlanta Falcons?
Okay. First and foremost, I have to acknowledge Marcus Mariota's performance with the starters. Yes, he did only go down one drive, but he took it into the end zone. You see the potential of competition level that Desmond Ritter has to face, has to overcome. He's not just gonna. Marcus Mariota is really being hyped up as the comeback player of the year. So, in order to get that hype, you have to show something, and I feel like Desmond Ritter has to work more on his accuracy in order to be considered as the starter. Yes, he's in the backup position because Felipe Frank is really playing the flex tight end position because he is the starting tight end. He's the third string tight end as of right now in the depth chart. So Desmond Ritter really needs to work on work on his accuracy, his ability to scramble out of the pocket is something. The ability to run with that football and make that slide, it's a dream. I see the potential, but the accuracy is just not there. So the potential is pretty good, but I still think there's a lot to work on as far as Desmond Ritter's mechanics and his throwing action. He made a couple bonehead passes that should have been picked off, overthrowing a couple guys. As there, once the jitters get away, I want to see what he looks like this week. I know he's going to get more of a eyeing. He did have 2 touchdown passes and the game-winning touchdown. So you see the potential, but you also see the red flags.
Okay.
So to answer your question, kind of, I'm on board, but I'm optimistic, but yet cautious. I got my caution signals up.
There you go. Now, Kenny Pickett from the Pittsburgh Steelers. 13 to 15 passing, 95 yards, two touchdowns.
Start him.
Will Pickett,
Start him.
Well, I was just ready to ask, will Pickett start on week 1?
Okay.
But since you already answered the question.
I'm going to make another bold prediction. I'm going to boldly predict that Kenny Pickett will win the starting job with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because when you saw him on the field, you saw his ability to pick apart, even though they were backups on top of backups on top of backups, But you still saw his ability to play that same high level of football at the next level. His stats speak for themselves to a point. But also to say this, Mitchell Trubisky played pretty good too. Mason Rudolph before him played pretty good too. So what's going to separate Mitchell? What's going to separate Mitchell Trubisky is the experience level, right? The ability to run the offense. What's going to bring Kenny Pickett along is his ability to do that same thing, but excel at it. He's going to take it to the next level because he's a little bit younger, he's a little bit faster, and he learned the game a little bit quicker over more of an extended period of time than Mitchell Trubisky did as well. Mitchell Trubisky was only a starter for 1 year, 11 games. 11 games.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel like Kenny Pickett's going to get a leg up on him. He's going to play. He's going to be the backup this week. So far on official depth chart, he's going to be quarterback 2. Last week he was QB4, QB3, QB4, and so I really feel like he's gonna really win that starting job this week and be the next Russell 2.0. Small hands, Kenny Pickett. I'm calling it. Small hands, Kenny Pickett.
It's got to be the gloves.
I feel like he's going to have some growing pains, but I feel like he's going to be a good quarterback. I've changed my stance.
I'm hopeful for him. All right, last one. We're going to touch on Malik Willis. 6 of 11, passing 107 yards, 5 carries for 38 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. With that being said, granted it wasn't the most, impressive out of all the quarterbacks this year. But there's hope. So with that in mind, Do you think Malik Willis will start this season
No,
over Ryan Tannehill?
no,
Nope.
no. Ryan Tannehill is exceptional at being a safety blanket. He revamped his career after not really getting along with the system in Miami. So coming to Tennessee, which is a heavy run first offense, um, with new pieces at the wide receiver position, I don't feel as if, um, if I'm not mistaken, they were division winners last year. So I don't really feel as if they will that Ryan Tannehill would just fall off the cliff as far as being a quarterback. Will there be a little bit of regression with a new wide receiver? Yes. 2 new wide receivers, one who's not even healthy yet. He's off the pup list, but I don't really feel like they're going to really push him to start in week 1. I don't really see a path for him to start. The coach is not on the hot seat. There's not really much to push him. He was in the 3rd round, and you see why he's in the 3rd round with his inability to see his 2nd, 3rd, 4th read checkdowns. He's 1 and go, and that's not going to work in the NFL. That's showing you're not processing the field, and that's not really what you want out there trying to win you games, essentially, because they're not tanking. They're not a team that's out of contention by any means. The AFC South is wide open. So I feel like they're going to go with their best hand. And obviously their best hand right now is Ryan Tannehill.
There you go. I was going to say, I think it was reported that Mike Vrabel even said that, Willis was running around more than he's comfortable with. So
exactly. That's what got him pulled. The play that got him pulled from the game was when he scrambled for 24 yards, but he missed a wide open receiver downfield, and it was an RPO, but Mike Vrabel came out and said that he really wanted him to pass the ball instead of run the ball. He really wanted him to be able to process that field. So you're already seeing the growing pains of transitioning to the NFL, kind of why people really saw him more as a 3rd round draft pick otherwise than the 1st round hype that he did get. And now on the flip side, we're also seeing, to go back a little bit, why Kenny Pickett was the only quarterback selected in the 1st round.
Absolutely.
We're really starting to see that. We know Mike Tomlin is a great coach, has not had a losing season in 15 years. He is going to see the talent. You've heard me talk to you about the depth chart movement. There's going to be a transition. Mitchell Trubisky is only down for 2 years. That's not really what you're looking for. If you're looking at a franchise quarterback, he knows he's here to try to win the job. He is the veteran, so he will get the first stakes at it. But the competition is wide open. And I really feel like if Kenny Pickett continues to put together good games, he's going to do what Russell Wilson did to Mike Flynn. Because Mike Flynn was also not the big dog. He signed first, and then when they drafted Russell Wilson outplayed him in the preseason. The preseason is a little bit shorter, so he's going to have to show a lot more in a condensed amount of time. But if he continues to put on like he did last week, I don't see why there will be a reason if he's doing good in practice, if he's putting in work in the preseason game. I don't see why there isn't a push for him to be the starter. If Mitch Trubisky honestly would just have to not perform well, and that will be enough, honestly. But if Mitch Trubisky continues to perform well, we may be having a whole nother discussion of why Kenny Pickett isn't starting. But if they start out losing, maybe 3 games, do you feel like that leash will get a little bit tighter?
Oh yeah. Time will tell for sure between Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky. I mean, I think you kind of feel bad for Mitch Trubisky because he did kind of get a bad rap when he was in Chicago. which I don't blame. Yeah, sure, there were some bonehead plays that he made while he was in Chicago. Growing pains, that's what I call those. But I don't put that solely on him. I put that on Matt Nagy and his inability to, coach.
Put together a good offensive
Matt
line.
Nagy. Yeah, I mean, Matt Nagy was reported as saying, multiple times, like, I'm not changing my system. The quarterback should just learn it. It's like, well, sometimes, yeah, that works, but not all the time. Sometimes you have to make a system that fits your quarterback. Not every quarterback is going to fit the coach's system. So
There you go.
time will tell.
Time will definitely tell. Well, if there is nothing else, really quick, 30-second spin. Neither Sam Darnold nor Baker Mayfield are making any true progression in training camp. It is seeming more like Baker Mayfield will be the starting quarterback. Would you consider in a 2-quarterback league, 12-team, consider either Baker Mayfield if he's a starter or Sam Darnold if he's a starter, or neither?
I think Baker Mayfield. I think he's proven a lot more than what Sam Darnold has. So I think if it were me, I would feel more comfortable taking Baker Mayfield over Sam Darnold in a heartbeat.
All right. Well,
but we stumbled through, even with the losing connection. We were able to stumble through the finish line there.
Well, I hope that through all the ups and downs, we put out enough information for you guys to try to piece together draft. I'm gonna post my results for my first. Technically, it would be my third official draft. I don't know whether I'm going to go with ESPN or NFL Fantasy, but I will post it and we will review it on our next podcast, as well as continue with the news and notes. And we're going to have another lightning round as well. So, with all that being said, I'm Bugman Jay.
I'm Matt.
And this is another episode of Armchair GMs, presented to you by Jocks of All Trade Podcast. You guys have a good night.
Take care, y'all.